Here at Helmuth Ford, we are a small town dealership with no hassle and no pressure.
Hi, this is Stacy from Shetler Insurance Services. Come see me on the east side of the square in Sigourney for all your insurance needs.
Welcome to this edition of Morgan You Asked For podcast, March 5th. Blizzard here today. It was worse than I thought. I didn't think here in Southeast Iowa we'd get the snow, and thought it would be warm enough that we'd just get a lot of rain and stuff, but it definitely this morning and this afternoon, it's not nice out. So no school for most of the area. And so March kind of, you could say, came in like a lion. So the old tradition is in like a lion, out like a lamb. So maybe the end of the month will be nice. March Madness, basketball galore, lots to talk about, a little bit of NFL stuff. And welcome Trevor in. Trevor's, where are you at tonight? You're on the road. I can see that.
Corona, California.
Where's that at in California? I don't know.
It's anywhere from like 45 minutes to probably 2 hours east of downtown LA. So That's where I'm at tonight. I'll be up in Bakersfield tomorrow, and then over the weekend I'll be staying in San Bernardino. Sunday night in Yuma, Arizona. Then a couple days in Tucson. Go to Las Cruces, New Mexico, and then I'll be home.
So you got the California, Arizona, New Mexico, back home trip. So, better to be out there than here today.
Yeah, it's been raining here all day today, pretty steady. So, luckily the traffic hasn't been too bad for the most of the week. I've been trying to do all my meetings kind of between 9 and 3 during the day. So, a buddy of mine that used to live out here told me don't try to schedule anything too early in the morning or anytime after 3, because then you get stuck in traffic. So, yeah, the weather is it's definitely better here than what you guys got. I saw a big pile up there in 80, and then our buddy Owens, he's trying to get to Scottsdale. He's had flights delayed and canceled, so I think he's finally there now, or getting there.
Yeah, so that's good. Just a couple things here. One, for those of you who noticed, things have changed a little bit on here. I'm trying to still do everything the same, but we're using a different StreamYard platform, and it's kind of going through Podbean instead of Spotify as much. So for those of you that are kind of figuring that out and liking us, and I know we're getting some comments and everything on Facebook, but it's kind of hard to see those. So if you're on Facebook and listening to us, go over to our YouTube page, which is Morgan You Asked For podcast. And then if you comment on the YouTube, we can see that right here. Trev and I can see it in real time, and then we could discuss comments or anything like that. So a couple things there. Just if you want to, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can comment live. Facebook, we can't do it yet. I just can't figure it out. It's one or the other. It's probably just me. I can't figure it out. But if you get to YouTube and you make a comment, we can see it. So if you want to ask a question or make a comment or something, go over to the YouTube page and follow us here live as we are here tonight. It ended up being right about the time, because the Big Ten tournament, which is impressive, was running ahead of schedule, which never happens in basketball. Iowa women just got done, beat Wisconsin for, I believe, the 31st time in a row, which is super impressive. And round numbers, about 14 years, because obviously they played in Big Ten tournaments and stuff like that. But I believe it was the 31st time in a row they beat in Wisconsin basketball. That is an impressive stats. I don't care how good a program you are or how bad a program you are, 31 in a row, unheard of. And not close tonight.
Yeah, it wasn't close. Basically, from the very beginning, I told you last week Iowa's playing their best basketball right now. I feel pretty confident. I mean, their rankings aren't going to show up, but they feel like a top 20 team in the nation right now. I won't go as far to say top 10 yet. They've still got more to prove to get to that. But they're firing on all cylinders. Everybody's scoring. I think the freshmen, before they all came in at the end, I think with like 2 minutes left in the third, I think the freshmen had 11 points even. So freshmen got some good playing time. All the starters are contributing. I think I looked earlier today, and I know they showed it on the broadcast. They're projected a 6 seed one I looked at today had Iowa to 7, but two teams that they had ahead of them was Michigan State and Michigan at a 6. Well, they play Michigan State tomorrow night. So obviously if they can take care of Michigan State, that should probably secure a 6 seed at worst for Iowa. And then, of course, if they can win that game, I don't know how high they can climb, but they're out of that 8, 9, 10 range now, it feels like.
Yeah, a 10 isn't bad, but that 8, 9 is just a really bad spot because then that second round you got to play a 1. The 10's okay, 11, or you want to get to that 6, 7 because then you're playing a 3 or a 2, and it's just better. You don't want to play UConn. You don't want to play South Carolina. I know you played USC and UCLA really well, but I don't think you want to see them real quickly in the tournament.
No, that's how I kind of feel too. So if they can take care of business tomorrow night, if they win that game, then they'd be on to Ohio State. I believe it would be the following day or the following night's game. So they're playing really well. Everybody contributed to tonight. I mean, there's not much to say. It was a butt whooping. It wasn't much of a contest. So Iowa's definitely, they're not ranked right now, obviously in the nation, but again, like I said, they feel like a top 20 team right now.
And Jay Jensen did a great job. Chad Lysakow from the Des Moines Register sent out a thing and showed the minutes, and no one played more than 24 minutes tonight, which going forward, especially in the Big Ten tournament where you got to win 2, 3, 4 games in a row to win it, and Iowa can benefit. Now, we've seen where it's not, especially the men's tournament. I think the conference tournaments don't matter a lot. But Iowa wants to win a few together, and in games like this where it wasn't close, great getting no one more than about 24 or 25 minutes. That's a great job by the coach, especially in her first year. So her first time doing this.
Yeah, everybody got in the game. You could see their beginning of the fourth quarter where all the freshmen were in. They were playing a lot faster, which was good, but they were a little bit sloppy on offense. There was a lot of effort, though, on defense. They were deflecting some passes and doing some really good things, but you could tell the normal starters and the normal 2 or 3 off the bench versus the 5 freshmen. They were playing a little bit quick, but that's to be expected. It's the Big Ten tournament, their first time playing in it, but it was good experience for them. So yeah, Iowa's going to be a real tough out the rest of the way, but they got to, like I said, take care of business versus Michigan State tomorrow night, and then that should hopefully lock up at least a 6 seed for them. And then after that, I don't know what kind of seed they could get depending how far they go.
Yeah, you just got to expect they're not going to change a lot. It's just like, and we're going to discuss this next, but the cycle of men lost last night. A lot of people had them as a 2, some 3, some 4. Even if you would lose at Kansas State on Saturday, and then you lose again that first round of the tournament, in 1 week or a week and a half, you're not going to drop 2 or 3 seeds because the committee has shown, and it is an entire season body of work. It's not just the last couple games that matter. Good and bad in those situations. Yeah.
So for Iowa State, moving on to them now, you don't think there's probably any chance that they could drop maybe down to a 5 seed?
I don't think a 5. I think a 4. If they would lose Saturday and then lose that first game, because now they're probably going to play on Wednesday night in the 5-12 matchup, or wouldn't necessarily be the 12 or whoever the 12 plays. I don't even know who it would be, and I don't think it's set yet. If they would lose their next 2 games, so finish, there's a chance to go to a 4. I don't think they could get to a 5. But it's super important. Again, we just talked about it with the Iowa women. They need to stay on that 3 line. I don't think they can get to a 2 now, just with they've got 7 losses or 8 losses now. But they need to, because that way you just stay away from that 1 seed. The 2 seeds right now are a St. John's, a Michigan State, an Alabama. You can play with those. And honestly, if you end up being a 4 or 5, can you play and beat a number 1 seed if you're playing at the best? Absolutely. Iowa State can beat anybody in the country. They've showed it. They've not proven it, but they've showed that they can play and hang with anybody in the country. But you just want to go away. You don't want to play Auburn, or I don't think you want to play Duke until an Elite 8. I mean, that's just, you want to stay away from them as long as you can.
So what happened it was last night, double overtime loss.
Yeah.
I tuned in right as it was ending, so I didn't get to see what happened in that game.
Well, so I was following along. My daughter had a concert, so I was following along on my phone. I wasn't watching it necessarily. They started out pretty well. There's two main stats. I mean, essentially, they got down 21 points with about 14 minutes left, and they made one heck of a run, tied it up, had a couple chances, overtimes. They had chances, and they played really good defense, and they played really bad defense, and they played really good on offense, and then they played really bad on offense. They're right now, their biggest issue, I believe, is most teams have one guy, end of the clock, get it to him, have him make a play, and then you go. You live and die with that. Well, I think Iowa State is so balanced. So they played 50 minutes of basketball last night, and they're a number 10 team in the country, and not one person scored 20 points. Now, we had an 18, we had a 19, we had a 14, we had a 16, we had a 13, which is really good, but I just felt a little bit that when it got down to it, it wasn't get the ball to this guy and make a play. They didn't know who to get the ball to. I think you got to get the ball to Keyshawn Gilbert, and he's got to drive, and he's got to finish or kick. Or you got to get the ball to Joshua Jefferson, which they tried to do, but he fumbled the ball, and then he didn't even get a shot. And at the end of regulation or the first overtime, kind of all runs together. I forget which one it was. You got to get it to those two guys, and then because I believe your best scorer or your best offensive player right now is Milan Momcilovic, but he is a catch and shoot guy. He's not a get the ball, drive to the lane, and finish. He's not there yet. So I think that's the problem. And then defensively, they just get lazy. I think they rely on their offense maybe a little bit too much. And BYU is really good. Chris Williams, a Cyclone fanatic, Chris Hassel, Andy Fales, Keith Murphy on Iowa Everywhere that I listen to. There's ways, and then Trent Condon on KXNO radio. There's this, it's kind of like Ken Palm, but it's a different one where you can adjust dates. And if you go from February 1st to today, BYU is the third-ranked team in the country. They've won 7 or 8 in a row. They've killed Arizona. They've killed Kansas. They beat Iowa State in double overtime, and they were up 21 points. So Iowa State made one hell of a run to come back, but they shouldn't have been down by that much. And that's at home. That's the concerning thing. And can they turn the switch on and play and win 4, 5, 6 games in a row? Absolutely they can. And then I made a note here. They are 7-7 in their last 14 games. That's not great. Now, they were 15-1 or whatever it was before that. With their only loss as a tip in at the buzzer against the number 1 team in the country, Auburn. So I'm concerned. The Big 12 tournament is, I don't know what to think of that because we've seen Iowa State win the Big 12 tournament, get beat in the first round. We've seen them win the Big 12 tournament and go to the Sweet 16. And this team seems to be tired to me. Now, I think one thing that we've had a couple guys hurt, but I do think sickness is running through the team right now. Curtis Jones had walking pneumonia. Deshaun Jackson didn't start last night because he was sick and missed a couple days of practice. So I don't know if this team needs a little rest. So go down there, win one game, and then lose. I don't know if that's better, or go try to win the whole thing. I don't know. I don't know the answer to it, but as we've talked about for several weeks now, This team needs to get the Sweet 16. Anything less than that is a disappointment. And Sweet 16 is just an okay season, I think. It's nothing great. Elite 8 is where this team should get to. But right now, they're not playing real well. I shouldn't say that. They're playing well, but they're not consistent. They need to just find that consistency. And one thing I think I am going to do, I'm going to put on our socials and everything, is a poll out there and ask, what should Iowa State do in the Big 12 tournament? Do you want to see them win the whole thing, or do you want to see them lose for success in the tournament? I don't know how I'm going to word that for sure, but I think that's what I'm going to do. And also, and we're going to talk about this later. Thanks, putting that top 10 album list. Did you see that I put out that? What did you think of that graphic and stuff?
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Did Paige do that for you, or is that something you?
I did that one. So.
Okay. Well, I wasn't sure if you could figure that out, because I don't think I'd be able to. So yeah, thanks for doing that. I was kind of curious if you did that or if you had Paige do it, because
I did that one.
Okay.
I'm a little bit. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better at it. The colors were a little weird, but it was what it.
That's okay. It's good practice.
Couldn't all figure it out. Yep. But it worked. And I know we got some, Bandstra, sent a thing and everything, so that was good. I'm working on Canva. I'm not good at it yet. I'm working on it. But I think some of it is I'm cheap and I don't pay for it. So I think if you pay for it, you get a lot more options and can do more things. So maybe I should just buck up and pay for it.
There you go. Just another subscription for something else.
Oh, yeah. Just exactly what you want to do.
So. Exactly. No, for Iowa State, we talked about the first half of the season was great. The second half, there's been injuries, illness, dropping games, like you said, with the record being what it is, our last 14. So, yeah, that's a tough spot. Do you want to, if there really is sickness going through the team, would you rather just get everybody healthy and rested up for the tournament, or would you rather them go play the Big 12 tournament, at least win a few games to get that momentum back? And I can't remember if you said earlier, but do you know where they'd be slotted right now? Would they have a bye? Would they play right away?
They're going to play on. They have a bye, but they don't have the double bye. So the top 4 teams in the Big 12 get a double bye, and if the season ended today, they're a 5. And I think it's pretty much slotted in that they're a 5. I think they're because it was them and BYU were tied for 4, and then obviously BYU beat them, and they only played them once. So obviously BYU has the tiebreaker. So
if they after the Kansas State will be their last game, Ryan. Do you know how many days then in between Kansas State and their first Big 12?
They're going to play. If they're the 5 seed, they're going to play Wednesday. So I mean, that's enough days. They're used to playing like that. I mean, it's not Tuesday or a quick. It's not a super quick turnaround. It's just you got to play an extra game if you're going to win the whole thing. That would be, instead of just playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you're going to have to play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, I was just curious if they could, if they had enough days off, if they get that sickness out of the team. Now that we're kind of getting into spring, hopefully they get everybody who's sick gets it through their system now at this point. Because like you said, you want to be well rested going into March Madness, but then you want that momentum too. Because with the way the season started, you said it too. I mean, got to get to the Sweet 16 at least. We talked about it, especially early on in the season. This team felt like a team that, everything that I read and saw anyway. I really haven't watched them, but should at least get to the Elite 8. It'd feel a little disappointing just getting to a Sweet 16, which sounds kind of silly to say, but with the momentum they had, it felt like an Elite 8 team.
Yeah, I mean,